Good morning. This is Judge Alyssa Perez presiding over the 210th District Court criminal docket for July 18, 2023. All matters being heard today are being heard in accordance with all emergency orders and directives regarding COVID-19. In addition to that, we are streaming all matters live via YouTube for public viewing. Mr. Madufo, would you call our next case, please?
Yes, Judge. Bottom of page 17, Judge.
Okay.
In cause number 2022-0D03653, State of Texas versus Alexander Lloyd Wingate. Announcement of council, please.
Good morning, Your Honor. This is David Vandenberg on behalf of the state.
Good morning, Judge Ruben Ortiz, on by Mr. Wingate.
And I believe your client is logged in here, appearing remotely. At least there is. Mr. Wingate, are you there? Is that your client, Mr. Ortiz?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, so we're scheduled. So your client is appearing remotely. We're scheduled for final hearing plea deadline. I have this down as a second trial setting. What is the rec, Mr. Vandenberg?
It's 5 years deferred with BIP, Your Honor.
Mr. Ortiz?
My client's not accepting that, Your Honor, since my client didn't do this.
All righty. If it's definitely a trial, we can just get you the jury sheets, jury selection. We do have commissioner's court on Friday morning. I don't know. Well, it sounds like it's a trial. Mr. Vandenberg?
It does appear that way, doesn't it?
Okay. Mr. Ortiz, we'll get you jury sheets.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr.
Bye-bye.
Wingate. Who's next?
Second on page 17, Judge.
Hmm?
In cause number 2022-0D03743, State of Texas versus Abraham William Villegas. Announcement of council, please.
David Vandenberg on behalf of the state.
Good morning, Brent Stevens for Mr. Villegas.
Okay, did Mr. Villegas check in, Mr. Madufo?
Yes, Judge.
All right, final hearing plea deadline, Mr. Vandenberg, what's the rec?
It's 3 years of straight probation, Your Honor.
Mr. Stevens?
My client has declined that, Judge.
Okay, well, same thing then. We'll go ahead and get you the jury sheets for Friday. Commissioner's Court, we should be good with that amount of jurors. Anything else?
Not from the defense.
Not from the state, Your Honor.
Thank you very much, Mr. Stevens. If that's all you have, you're excused.
Right.
Next.
Second on page 16, Judge.
Mhm.
In cause number 2021-0D02380, State of Texas versus Clevy Nelson. Announcement of council, please.
David Vandenberg on behalf of the state.
Well,
On
sorry.
behalf of Miss Clevy Nelson, I'm sorry if I stepped on Miss King. I guess I heard one announcement. I didn't realize.
No,
Miss-
you're okay. And Your Honor, this is Laura King and Michelle Hill.
Okay, so yeah.
Good morning, Your Honor.
Hi, everybody. Hello, Miss Nelson. How are you this morning? We're set for a status conference. I actually, other than having this set, don't know that I went back and I reviewed anything other than the Court of Appeals opinion.
And Your Honor, and this is on me. I realized we filed a motion for rehearing last Thursday. and
Oh,
didn't
okay.
report that we had filed the motion for rehearing. I realized that about 10 minutes ago after where we're at. And so we have not received, and I haven't done a lot of motions for rehearing, honestly, Your Honor. So I don't know what their timeline is on this or any other case.
Is it fair to everyone that maybe we reset this for 60 days for a status? I had not looked beyond the opinion we received, Mr. Benjamin. So it was just a matter of bringing everyone back and seeing if we could get this on track. While we're here, may I ask, I mean, is everything still kind of sitting in the issues in the Court of Appeals, or are you all working on anything else?
Not with regard to this case, but Mr. Benjamin and myself, we were actually in the middle of a capital murder case that we're scheduled to start evidence in July 26th. So
And-
So I'm glad I caught you before you get into your big trial. It starts on the 26th. Wow, my timetable is, I forget dates. There's just so much every day. Yes, Mr. Benjamin, you already gonna say?
Your Honor, the only thing that we have that we'd like to take up is my client has essentially a change in employment. So we'd like to talk to the court and get set for a bond. And we filed a motion to modify the bond, I believe, a couple of weeks ago, if not longer.
Put in, if you haven't emailed us with your request for hearing, please send that to Myrna immediately. Knowing your all's trial that's coming up and our availability, the court's availability, we may have to kind of look outside the box in terms of having a hearing on that motion. Okay, it was filed May 31st. In other words, I will probably be reaching out to you to maybe get a date that's outside of our standard Tuesday, Thursday, and we'll also work with you all schedule. So get it to Myrna, please. And then we can look at a time this week and beginning of next week may be pretty difficult. So between that and you all's unavailability, we need to work on something. If there's an agreement that you all would like to propose, I would entertain something like that if you all can confer on that. Okay.
I will, Your Honor, and if nothing else, I'll have it covered, just based upon the desire to have the hearing.
Okay.
So thank you.
Sure.
Judge, if I may,
Yes.
Mr. Benjamin, we don't have a waiver of arraignment on this case.
Well, I'll
You
submit
need that
another
file.
one. I know I think we've submitted a couple, but I'll have another one executed before Ms. Nelson leaves the office today.
Okay, thank you.
It may be, didn't this one get re-indicted?
It has, Your Honor, but we'll
Okay.
get another one filed.
Sure. Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you, Myrna. Anything else? Thank you, folks.
Nothing
you,
further,
Judge.
Your Honor. Thank
Y'all
you.
may be excused. Have a good day.
Thank you.
You as
You
well.
too. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Who's next?
Third on page 12, Judge. In cause number 2023-0D0-0538 and 2023-0D0-0875 and 2023-0D0-0035, State of Texas versus Fabiola Castro Ramirez. Announcement of council, please.
David Vandenberg on behalf of the state.
Jose Trichet on behalf of Ms. Fabiola Castro, Your Honor.
And I believe this is the one where we needed some info at our last, I guess it was going to be a plea on
Right.
immigration issues. Judge, did we get those things
Yes,
resolved?
we submitted an order, Your Honor, and quite frankly, she is ready to plea. Mr. Vandenberg and I are still trying to get the plea papers lined up. She has a lot of cases and a lot of them are going to be dismissed. So I think we're going to, the way I look at it, we were going to plead to two of them. And so Mr. Vandenberg and I just need to go ahead and get that resolved. But I think, Your Honor, as far as the immigration issues, if we could have Mr. Bondragon just advise her at the time of trial, she'll be very well briefed before then by me, but I just want to make sure she understands that. And she does, she understands. She has no status, basically.
Had that order not been signed in terms of the appointment of the immigration attorney?
I think it has, Your Honor, yeah, I think it has.
Okay. In that case, Mr. Vandenberg, is that correct? You all are just working on the details of a plea?
That's correct. We were very close, Your Honor.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead and reset you all for 30 days, final hearing, plea deadline, and jury trial on all her cases, okay?
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Judge, if you would, please, the sooner you all get that resolved, just get us the plea paperwork. Court scheduling is very difficult. We're getting full really quick now. And so I'd like to get hers taken care of sooner than later, okay?
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you very much. Who's next?
Second on page 13, Judge. In cause number 2022-0D0-2869, State of Texas versus Edwin Alejandro Cordova. Announcement of council, please.
David Vandenberg on behalf of the state. I'm sorry, this is a BPU.
Yeah, this one ours. Preston Munson for the state. State's ready, Your Honor.
Good morning, Your Honor. Jesus Solis on behalf of Mr. Cordova. We're ready as well.
Final hearing plea deadline, Mr. Munson, what's the rec?
Rec is 2 straight. I think it was 3 deferred was the last rec, but Your Honor, after review, I think this is one that we may have won the battle but lost the war. So this one, after reviewing of the case, I don't think we're going to take this one to a jury, so we're going to dismiss it.
Okay, well, there you go. You're good with that, Mr. Olivas?
I don't know, can I object to that, Judge?
You can, I guess.
I don't know, never mind.
I don't know that I'd give it too much weight. All right, please give me my dismissal, Mr. Munson.
Yes, I will.
All right.
Your Honor.
Thanks, President. You
Olivas.
guys
Take
have a
care.
good day.
You too,
Bye-bye.
take care. Bye-bye. Next.
Continuing on page 13, Judge.
Mhm.
In cause number 2022-0D0 1706, State of Texas versus Richard Alexander Dominguez. Announcement and counsel, please.
David Vandenberg on behalf of the state.
Also work on behalf of Mr. Dominguez, who's present on Zoom, Your Honor, and we're ready.
Okay, he is here. Oh, Lord. Okay, so we're here for final hearing plea deadline. Mr. Vandenberg, what's the rec? You're muted.
The rec is 10 deferred.
This work?
Your Honor, my client has declined that recommendation.
Okay, we have some outstanding matters, and unless there's been something in the past 30 minutes, I think I reviewed your emails that included, I think last week, defense filed a motion, I don't know the exact wording, but to exclude the new outcry witness. I did see the state's response, and I did see the defendant's reply to the response and read the case law that was forwarded to the court. If I'm not mistaken, because I don't want to go out of order here, I had wanted to have this set at the same time as the outcry. Happy to entertain any argument today if you all are ready. The only other thing I think we had from defense was the request for a second chair, and that I know I did sign off on, so that has been granted.
And Your Honor, we have another issue that we're going to have to address today. It's not a motion, but I'm ready to proceed on the motion that I filed on the outcry witness.
Sure.
I don't know if Mr. Vandenberg's ready or.
Yes, the state's ready to discuss that. I'd like to bring something up not about those. You mentioned if something has changed within 30 minutes, something has changed. I just got evidence of texts from the CW regarding events in this matter. I really haven't had time to review them. There's also a couple of videos. I don't even know how long they are. I don't know what they contain. I'm going to have to disclose those to Ms. Warwick. Just to let you know, that's here. After these hearings are done this morning, I'm going to look at that and see what we have and disclose those. So I may be requesting a continuance based upon new evidence that we just recovered this morning.
Okay.
So we had a final hearing plea deadline jury trial back in March, but I think that we passed on that because if I'm not mistaken, Ms. Work, that might have been where you came into the case.
That is correct, Your Honor. That is correct, Your Honor.
That wasn't at anyone's, like it had been worked up, prepped, and we just passed that setting. But we did have a trial setting in June, the outcry. And if I'm not mistaken, that is where we had that representation from the state that the CPS, I believe the CPS worker was actually misidentified as the outcry. No, maybe not. No.
Your Honor, if I may, we had a trial setting in June.
Mm-hmm.
Right. The week before, I was advised by the state that they had got new evidence which they purported to be a letter from the CW. However, that was not provided to me until June 8th. And we had agreed to pass the case so I could review that discovery because they advised on the record that it would not only affect the trial, but the potential outcry hearing. So then we had the outcry hearing on June 29th, and that's where the state realized that they had given notice in a summary for the completely wrong witness. Your Honor, may I be heard regarding what ADA Vandenberg just brought up?
Absolutely.
Your Honor, they've had this case filed since June of 2022 at least. And now over a year later, they're telling us that there's text messages and videos 3 days before our outcry here. Well, 2 days before our outcry hearing and 3 days before trial. I'm sorry, Judge, that is not timely at all. They should not be permitted to use any of that, and they need to go to trial. They announced ready for trial before. We moved this trial date to accommodate the late disclosure the last time, and now we're being told there's texts and videos. I mean, this is ridiculous, Judge. I mean, they've had over a year to work up this case and prep it, and everything is being done at the last minute. They know that they're not providing sufficient notice to me, and they want to just keep pushing this and pushing this and pushing this to, alleviate the problem that they haven't been working up their case. They shouldn't be able to just keep coming up with new evidence before every trial date, Judge. We are ready to go to trial this Friday. Anything they have now should be precluded.
So let me stop right there, and I'll give you a chance to respond, Mr. Vandenberg. But in terms of just what I'm hearing, Ms. Work, I have you down for jury selection beginning Thursday afternoon.
Okay.
At 1:30. I believe we canceled the morning. There were 2 panels on Thursday. We canceled the morning panel so that we could set the outcry and a Daubert hearing Thursday morning, and then have those additional 60 odd jurors Thursday afternoon. So I just want to make sure we're clear there, is that we are starting jury selection Thursday afternoon. And then of course we have the entirety of the panel, the Commissioner's Court panel, for Friday.
Okay, Judge.
Okay.
And I apologize, Judge. My understanding, I thought, and I misunderstood, I thought we were doing jury selection all day Friday with 2 panels on Friday. But I mean, we're ready for Thursday too, Judge. Whenever you tell us to be there, we'll be there.
So that's how we're scheduled. Now, Mr. Vandenberg, let me hear from you.
Oh, first off, the state does not manufacture evidence. We get the evidence from the victims and witnesses. So we don't have control over when they get this. The CW here is just 18 years old. The events that occurred were years ago, and we're dealing with teenagers here, and they don't have an understanding of how courts work. So we get the evidence when we can get them. We've had conversations with the CW. She's come in and we've pre-trialed her. I've had counselors speak with her. So when we get the evidence, as soon as I can get a handle on it, as soon as I get it, I review it and see if we can use it. And I'm just telling right now, this is the notice that I just was able to see it this morning. And it is late, but I am not in control of how this gets to here. This comes from the CW. There are texts that she made, or other people made to her friends, about the facts of this case. So, I haven't even looked at them yet. I reviewed them very quickly to see what they were, but I don't even know what the content is really. And I think it's important for this matter, for all the facts that are in this matter, to be able to be introduced into evidence, being brought in, because this is a very serious case.
Ms. Warwick, obviously you haven't received that, right? DA's office.
No, I was not aware it even existed, Judge, until Mr. Vandenberg just advised the court and us of it. So I have no idea what it says.
So here's what's going to happen. It sounds like, Mr. Vandenberg, that you're asking for a continuance, and I don't see a continuance filed.
Well,
So you need to file your motion, number 1. Number 2, with that representation, your office has until end of business today to provide Ms. Warwick with any information. Anything that is outstanding, to include what you're saying has just been given to the DA's office today, and have a copy of that prepared. I am assuming that, well, you're telling me, I'm not assuming, you're telling me that that's the basis for your continuance, and I'm not hearing anything else. So be prepared to have that ready for the court to review. On Thursday, we will have a hearing on the motion for continuance. Okay. We will also go over the outcry witness. And now I'm actually not remembering if we now have an expert, or the state is representing that they have an expert when they told us we didn't have an expert, right? So all of those hearings will be Thursday morning. I believe we're set for 9 a.m. Is that right? Yes, 9 a.m. in person. Ms. Work.
Your Honor, if I may, and there's another issue here. I was out of town between July 9th and July 16th, and I came back to an email from ADA Vandenberg indicating that I guess one of their witnesses, who is one of the sisters of my client, has now come forward with several new allegations that weren't previously mentioned in the last 5 years, and that based on these allegations, they're evaluating to either re-indict my client or to indict him separately on a separate case. Here's the problem, Judge. If they're going to re-indict him, we cannot try this case starting Thursday if they're going to re-indict him this week. I don't know if they've made that decision or not, but the problem is we keep getting these last minute delays, and it's just getting to be ridiculous. And yes, Your Honor is absolutely correct. What we were set for on Thursday before we found out about this continuance issue was originally the outcry hearing, a challenge to their expert witness, because ADA Vandenberg put on the record on June 29th it was an expert, and now he's saying it is. And so we have the challenge to that. Plus, Your Honor also set the motions in limine at that time as well, because the goal was to just knock everything out and then, pick our jury. Judge, here's the problem, and I do want to clarify with the court. Is the court going to still hear our motion to preclude the outcry witness at that time, or is that going to be today?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So I just want to make the court aware of that issue as well, and I have not gotten a clear answer, even though I asked, from AD Vandenberg as to whether they're going to re-indict my client or indict him on a separate case.
Are you re-indicting Mr. Vandenberg?
We're still deciding whether to go ahead with that, but we're not going to re-indict him on this matter, but there's a possibility of another indictment in this. And I want to go back to a point about Isabella. This is the sister of the CW. She is on the witness list, the original witness list in this matter. And there is information that she provided to the police. It's in portal, it's under the supplements, it's in one of the supplemental police reports. And the information that she provided to the police is the same, which I noticed, Miss Warwick, that was there. So it's not like she's had notice of this since the inception of this case, or at least when the.
No. I will see you all on that on Thursday. You all have been very good about communicating all these new issues as they come up, which I can't even imagine how Miss Warwick is managing with all of these late and very substantive disclosures by the state.
Yes,
We're going to hear everything, but if I don't have a motion for continuance, we don't have to hear anything. All right. Ms. Warwick.
Yes, sir.
We have it down for an outcry, but obviously it's all of those things. If I receive a motion for continuance, Mr. Vandenberg, I've told you, if you're representing that that's the basis for the motion, I better see something. And it better be disclosed by the end of day today.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Judge. We'll see you Thursday.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Who's next?
Bottom of page 14, Judge.
Yes.
In cause number 2022-0D03316, State of Texas versus Jesus Licon. Announcement of council, please.
David Vandenberg on behalf of the state. Mr. Joseph Vasquez is the defense on this.
Mr. Vasquez, are you there? Go to the next case.
Staying on page 14, Judge. In cause number 2022-0D05812 and 2023-0D00006, State of Texas versus Ismael Galvan. Announcement of council, please.
David Vandenberg on behalf of the state.
Rick Huffman on behalf of Mr. Galvan.
Final hearing plea deadline, what's the rec?
For the case that ends in 5812, the rec is 4 deferred, straight deferred, TAP, $4,000 fine, 450 hours of community service, UAs, BAs, standard terms of conditions, and that would run concurrently with the second case. That rec is for 2 straight deferred, restitution, $3,000.
Wait a minute, is it straight or is it deferred?
It should be straight, Your Honor. Did I say deferred? I apologize. It should be straight on both. straight probation on, the first one, 4 years on 5812 straight probation, 2 years straight probation on 06.
Mr. Huffman, your client's in custody.
Judge, I had not received that offer. Did you guys make that offer today?
Yes,
Okay, perfect. We're in. We'd like to accept that offer, Judge. If we could set it for a plea at some point. That's
Do we have any jail pleas tomorrow? Meaning we're bringing them in person?
Yes, Judge, we're beginning at 2 o'clock tomorrow.
At what time?
2 o'clock.
2 o'clock, okay. But there isn't, is there anything at 1:30?
No, Judge, not to my knowledge, no.
Myrna, is there anything at 1:30 tomorrow?
No, ma'am.
Okay, let's go ahead and bring Mr. Mr. Galvan. 1:30. Plea in person. So Mr. Vandenberg, I don't know, Mr. Huffman, I mean, are you comfortable that that is something that your client is going to take? I don't want to bring him in for no reason.
100%, Judge.
All right. So we'll bring him in tomorrow. Y'all can square away the plea paperwork. I will ask that you be punctual. And Mr. Huffman, if you need to get here a little bit earlier, because the court does have some matters to attend to in the afternoon, that'll keep us pretty occupied.
Understood.
All right, so let's bring him over tomorrow. Thank you very much.
thank
Who's
you.
next?
Page 15, Judge.
Ed?
In cause number 2022-0D03733, State of Texas versus Amanda Joy Muncie. Announcement of council, please.
Preston Munson for the state stage ready, Your Honor.
Rick Huffman, on behalf of Miss Muncie, we're ready.
Did Miss Muncie check in?
Yes, Judge.
All right, final hearing plea deadline. What's the rec?
The rec, Your Honor, was 5 straight probation.
All right, did you all file a motion for continuance, Mr. Huffman? I did not see that last.
We have, Judge, and I believe this is our second motion for continuance.
It is.
The problem we're having, Your Honor, is my client has rejected the offer. She would like a trial in this case. But a material witness who, well, I don't want to get too far into what she would testify to, but she's actually in custody in New Mexico. So we cannot get her to trial this week. We're asking the court to give us a little more time. It shouldn't be, she's not in custody, she shouldn't be in custody for much longer, from my understanding. But
What, Mr. Munson, what's your position on the continuance?
I'm on a post, Your Honor.
All right, you filed it today, so that's making headway. If the state is not opposed, I'll go ahead and grant your request for continuance. Myrna, what is our next regular trial date that's available?
For this year, Judge?
Whatever our
December
next
1st.
trial date is.
December 1st, or the new activations are being set February 9th.
Ooh. Let's do December. I thought we had a special setting on December 1st.
I'm checking, Judge, but the calendar is slow again.
All right, you all will be set for December 1st, so that will be a November 28th final hearing plea deadline.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you very much. Who's next?
Towards the bottom.
Can I go next? I have a 10:30 hearing.
Good morning, Mr. Rosales. Are you here on Bellman?
No, I'm here on Mr.
Bellman pled already.
Yes.
Bellman pled. I'm here on Christopher Ibarra.
I'll call it. Calling cause number 2022-0D05411 and 2022-0D05215, State of Texas versus Christopher Noe Ibarra. May I have announcements, please?
Preston Munson for the state stage ready, Your Honor.
Mark Rosales for Mr. Ibarra. Ready?
And Mr. Ibarra is in custody. Can someone confirm, do we have waivers of arraignment on these cases? I didn't see one, so I wanted to bring that to your attention, Mr. Rosales.
I'll work on it.
This is our first setting So we don't have one on 5411, so we're missing the one on 5411.
Okay, I'll get it done.
Okay, Mr. Munson, are you on both of these? You have a rec?
I'm
for these
not. I'm
cases?
only on the smuggling cases. but
Okay, tell me that rec.
So that rec is either, it's it's either 2 TDC matching the ag assault rec, or it's 5 straight.
Mr. Vandenberg, you're on. Christopher Ibarra, is that? Do we have
I'm
three
on the other one,
cases?
Your Honor. Yes, that's correct.
Does Ibarra have 3 cases?
He has some misdemeanors. I don't think he.
Yeah, I think it's only 2 felonies, Your Honor.
Oh, okay. All righty. What's the rec on 5215? Christopher Ibarra, page 7.
One moment, please.
Mhm.
I was hoping to get a reduction on the ag assault, and I'll take the 2 on the smuggling. So it's kind of where we are.
What did you say you were hoping to get on the ag assault?
A simple assault on the ag assault, a reduction, a year in jail, and take 2 years on the smuggling. Obviously, mine is on the parole, right?
Yeah, right now, the rec is 2 TDC for ag assault, but you're offering the misdemeanor.
Right.
Well, as I said before, we're gonna have to look at that a bit. I'm not gonna accept it at this point.
Okay, so the rec is 2 TDC on the ag assault, is that right? I
Yes,
just want to
ma'am.
know what the state's rec is on that ag assault.
Well, I'm sorry, Judge.
2 TDC.
2 TDC, is there also an alternate probation rec?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. Well,
So
there-
I'm a little stuck here because I have a probation rec on one and a solid TDC rec on the other. So,
Well, Mr. Munson and I can confer about this and get a resolution.
that'd be great.
Oh, okay, well, but it's our first setting. Mr. Rosales, did you file a motion for continuance or what are we doing?
I did not, Judge. I was on vacation last 2 weeks, and so I can get one filed today and give us an opportunity. We're so close. I think we probably can work it out.
If you get it filed, as long as the state's not opposed, I don't have any issues pushing this back 30 days because it doesn't
Okay.
sound like I'm hearing about a trial. If the recs change, gentlemen, please convey those to Mr. Rosales timely so we can have something clearly set before the 30 days, okay? And I am hearing from the clerk, both the waivers are missing, so if you'll just get us both waivers.
Both waivers are missing. Okay, so need 2 waivers and a motion for continuance. So 1, 2, 3. Got it. I'll
Welcome
get it
back.
done today. All
Thank you
right.
very
Yeah, thanks.
Bye-bye. Who's next?
All right, bye-bye.
Back to Mr. Vasquez, bottom of page 14, Judge.
Mhm.
In cause number 2022-0D0316, State of Texas versus Jesus Licon. Announcement of council, please.
David Vandenberg on behalf of the state.
Joseph Vasquez representing Mr. Licon, and we're ready.
Did Mr. Licon check in?
Yes, Judge.
This is our second setting, final hearing plea deadline. What's the rec?
5 deferred, Your Honor, 5 years deferred, $2,000 fine, 200 hours of community service, UABAs, and standard terms and conditions.
Mr. Vasquez?
And my client has rejected a plea to the felony.
Okay. We'll get you trial jury sheets for Friday. We're in Commissioner's Court. It's an ag assault deadly weapon. State, are you ready?
It is ready, Your Honor.
Okay. All righty. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Judge.
Who's next?
Towards the bottom of page 17, Judge.
Mhm.
In cause number 2022-0D05364 and 2023-0D0.
Hold on, isn't that in person?
Oh, I apologize, Judge. Yes, ma'am. The
Next.
next, I showed it as an add-on, Judge.
What?
It's Herman Robles. I got a cause number, Judge.
What is it, a final hearing plea deadline?
Yes, Judge.
How can that be an add-on?
I don't know.
It's, Judge, it's set for Friday for a trial, but it, for some reason, wasn't set for the final plea deadline. So
Judge, it was- The jury trial setting was on there for Friday, but the final was not.
What's the cause number?
Cause number 2022-0D0 0836.
Twenty 0D0.
0836, I believe, Judge. I might have missed one number.
Can I have a correct cause number, please?
2022 0D0 5836.
Mr. Vandenberg, have you had the chance to look at this case?
What's the case number again? I did not catch that.
2022 0D0 5836.
And what page is that?
It is not on any page. It's
My-
was missing from the final hearing plea deadlines.
My portal is not working on it. I cannot get into it.
Mr. Huffman, have you had any discussions with the state on this case?
I have.
What's the rec
Well,
that you know of?
it's time right now. I've got a bunch of mitigation stuff that I need to give to the state. I've had problems locating the complaining witness. I'm thinking he might be willing to sign a non-process. I believe this is our first trial setting, Judge. So there's some work that needs to be done, and I'm hoping we can work this out with a lengthy probation rec. But I'm gonna have to file a continuance so I can do that stuff. I'll give that mitigation stuff to the state soon, but the complaining witness, I've sent my investigator out there a few times, have not been able to locate him.
Mr. Vandenberg, is it safe to say you just don't have access to your case right now?
Correct.
Okay. Mr.
Not-
Vandenberg, there is a final judges conference on 6/27, status conference on 5/18. I want to know if this person has been checking in.
He's been checking in, Judge. I remember this individual.
I want to see it.
Okay, Judge. Yes, ma'am.
And he's been in my office a few times. It's my understanding, he's been in very good contact with me, Judge, and he's been working a lot.
Is he on PR bond?
I assume so, Judge. Alyssa split bond. Very good.
He was in jail on the 17th of June. Myrna, contact PR
No,
for a report on Mr. Robles.
Yes, ma'am.
he is on a split bond.
Mm-hmm. I think clerks tell me 30,000 PR. Oh, 20, okay, there it is. 20,000 surety, 30,000 PR. I need your motion for continuance. Mr. Vandenberg, what's the state's position?
A continuance from the state on this matter?
No.
We would agree to it. It's in the post.
All right, file your motion, Mr. Huffman. I need it by the end of the day, please. Who's next?
Judge, bottom of page 12, Mr. Olivas, he's in the 168 in person. For Mr. Conde. And middle of page 16, Judge, Mr. Avelar is also in the 346 in person for Ponce Humberto. Jesus Humberto Ponce, Judge. So,
Okay, what about Ms. Sines? Mr. Murray? Who else are we missing?
Ms. Sines, Judge, with Mr. Judge Spencer, he's here. It's going to be a plea. They have they submitted the plea papers last week, Judge.
And who excused the attorneys?
No, they're not excused. They're in person, Judge. They're here.
What about Mr. Murray and Eric Mesa?
They're here, ma'am. Mr. Lozano is here and Mr. Peters is here.
So is that all our Zoom hearings?
Yes, Judge.